Ray Dalio, he warned us of the changing world order, the switching of a global superpower. If you're in America and you're not awakened to this, you're going to have a rude awakening. My name is Coach JV. What I work to do is make the complex very, very simple. The thing I want to share with you guys is we need to start asking why. Do you know why the financial system is set up the way it is? Do you know why the economy gets affected in cyclic periods over and over again? We don't. We go to school, get a job, we get a 401k, and we hope that some of our companies have a pension. I'm here to tell you that the way that our grandparents and our parents did their finances is absolutely dead. Think about our parents for just a moment. Our parents would go to school and they could get a good job. Education was very, very affordable. In fact, way back in the past, education was free. But as soon as the government got involved and subsidized it, education became very, very expensive. Every time they get involved and they subsidize something, it gets very, very expensive. Politics and money go hand in hand. So if you don't start asking why, and if you don't stop taking advice from people who are going to end up broke at retirement, you're going to end up in the same position. It's time to start asking why. And we've helped over 6,000 warriors worldwide answer that question through subconscious mind programming, goal setting, access to my portfolio, or 5 pillars of wealth. And now I'm a licensed insurance agent helping people with index universal life and understanding the infinity banking concept. In the description of this video down below, you can join our academy for 7 days for free. All right, so let's dive into this. So Ray Dalio warned us. He absolutely warned us of what was coming. And I've been studying Ray Dalio's information for a very, very long time, the macro and microeconomic look. If you haven't dove into Ray Dalio's stuff, I'm one of his biggest fans. The Changing World Order and the Big Debt Crisis. That's where I learned a lot of my macro and microeconomics. So I have a CBA executive banking degree. I understand banking at a deep level. But the thing is, by me understanding banking at a deep level, I didn't even understand the mechanisms of what we were doing to the economy. Banks are designed to keep you poor. They take the impoverished, working poor, and the middle class money, and they get very, very wealthy off of it. Okay, so as we watch this, there's a big switch happening in our economy. Everybody's like, the dollar's going to collapse. I don't know if tomorrow it's going to collapse, but it's definitely declining. Since 2002 to 2023, the reserves of the central banks in dollars has gone down about 14%. But the moves we're seeing right now are an indication that we're heading into a new global monetary system. I don't think the dollar is going to collapse. I don't believe there's going to be one dominant currency. I think we're going to an even playing field. China is now turning on the printing machine and they're going to devalue their currency. So we're going to have two superpowers with a devalued currency. Then we're going to move into a bridge of currencies and a bag of currencies that's going to move 24/7, 365 days a week, called blockchain technology, on-demand liquidity. Okay, and interoperability. So pay attention. So we're going to first watch this video from Ray Dalio here, and then we're going to dive into
important events.
My apologies. Then we're going to dive into understanding what's happening with China. So China's turned on the printing machine as we've turned off our printing machine. So I'm going to explain my microeconomic look at it. But first, I want you to see this short clip at about 5 minutes of Ray Dalio. If you don't have a pen and paper out, get a pen and paper out. We need to start asking why. So pay attention to what he says about the internal conflict and changing world order.
Surprised me. Did so because they never happened in my lifetime. These painful surprises led me to study the last 500 years of history for similar situations, where I saw that they had indeed happened many times before, with the ups and the downs of the Dutch, British, and U.S. empires. And every time they did, it was a sign of the changing world order. This study taught me valuable lessons that I'm going to pass along to you here in a distilled form. You can find the comprehensive version in my book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. Let me begin with a story that brought me to this point, about how I learned to anticipate the future by studying the past. In 1971, when I was a young clerk on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, the United States ran out of money and defaulted on its debts. That's right, the U.S. ran out of money. How? Well, back then, gold was the money used in transactions between countries.
So I want to pause for a moment. How many of you knew that that happened? How many of your parents knew that that happened? How many of your grandparents knew that that happened? I didn't. Our parents were sitting on their couch watching a regular program television show around August 1971, and President Nixon comes on the television, tell you vision and channel information and program you, and says, "We are detaching from the gold standard. Go watch that video. That's a homework you have. Go watch that video. When you watch that video, reverse everything he says. Okay, just reverse everything he says. Think about it for just a moment. When you listen to it, it's like when somebody says to you, you're this, they putting the word I in front of it. So think about that for just a moment as you watch that video. Okay. In 1971, this is where the question why, right? We don't question authority. We don't ask. This is what got me in this position right here, guys. In banking school, I started asking why. And they're like, I'm like, that's where I got recommended the book, The Creature of Jekyll Island. And I was like, whoa, holy cow. And from that point on, I've been asking why. That's what got me into this position.
Paper money, like the dollar, was like checks in a checkbook in that it had no value other than it could be exchanged for gold, which was the real money. At the time, the United States was spending a lot more money than it was earning by writing a lot more of these paper money checks than it had gold in the bank to exchange for them. As people turned these checks into the bank for gold money, the amount of gold in the U.S. started to dwindle. It soon became obvious that the U.S. couldn't keep its promises for all the existing paper money, so people...
Does that sound familiar? The bank couldn't keep its promises? Think about that. Why do you think they're regulating non-bank financial institutions? People are moving out of the traditional bank. Deposits are declining. They're panicking. This is why we don't ask why the crypto market is faltering right now and why they're pushing so hard on crypto and why Gary Gensler's going after Coinbase and Binance, because that's like the gold. We're trying to exit and go into a new monetary system. We want our gold back, right? We want our gold back. And they're like, we're going to choke off every single area that you're trying to get into.
Holding dollars rushed to exchange them before the gold ran out. Recognizing that the U.S. was going to run out of real money, on Sunday evening, August 15th, President Nixon went on television to tell the world that the U.S. was breaking its promise to let people exchange their dollars for gold. Of course, he didn't say it that way. He said it more diplomatically, without making it clear that the United States was defaulting.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly,
what have you been hearing on the news? America's economy is strong. The banking system is solid. Pay attention.
I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary
to defend the dollar against the speculators. Gary Gensler, President Biden, defending the dollar against the crypto speculators, the speculative market against these It's exactly the same pattern.
Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
I watched in awe, realizing that money as we understood it was ending. What a crisis.
Okay, so I'm going to pause right there. You can go watch these videos. So money as we know it was ending. What's happening right now? Money as we know it is transferring. So if you look at Ray Dalio and you look at the economic cycles, my apologies, guys. Let me turn this off. Let me quit team. There you go. Okay, cool. That shouldn't pop up anymore. Okay, so if you look at this, I don't know if you guys could hear that. We have our Teams chat going. So if you look at here, this is the changing world order, right? So we're now in the decline. So we're in 13, 14. So large debts, printing money. What is coming now? Internal conflict. They're turning this against transgender, against this, and left against right, Trump against Biden. Guys, that's all by design. What you're doing is all by design. It's internal conflict because of overextending. Number 10, losing competitiveness. America's losing all its competitiveness. We are like the black eye of the world now. There's massive wealth gaps. Okay, since 1970s, the top 1% has grown by 138%, and the bottom quartile has only grown by 15% in their income. Okay, we have large debts. We printed money like crazy. We're now have internal conflict. It's to the T. Loss of reserve currency, and then weakened leadership, and then civil war and revolution. What is happening right now? We have extremely weak leadership. Look, we're right here, number 16 and 17. 16, it's literally an exact cycle. Nixon was a weak ass leader. Okay. Did China print $500 billion? Boom, 8/2/2023. Well, the money supply contracted in both United States and Europe. China's printer is in full swing. It has added 24 trillion CYN over the last year, worth 3.5 trillion, bringing their M3 money supply to 266 trillion. China is printing money for countries like Poland, Brazil at full steam as it tries to expand its influence on the global economy. Here's America's money supply. Okay. The dominant currency in the world, we've shut off our money supply. We're raising interest rates, which is destroying other countries' finances because everything is done in the US dollar. Okay. So now we're declining. China's turned their printing machine on full blast. And in my opinion, China may be going into the same cycle. Okay. So they're overextended. Well, I don't know about competitiveness, but their wealth gaps are massive. They have large debts, and now they're going to start printing. So we're all going to head into internal conflict, weak leadership, civil war, and revolution. Another thing that's happening right now, this is pretty powerful. So the BRICS countries, what's going on? My computer's acting wacky tobacco. No, all right, so let's bring it back on. I don't know where that ding is coming from, guys. I don't know if you can hear that. But anyways, so let's bring it back here. So I don't re-edit my videos. I just do everything casual. Anyways, what I wanted to share with you guys, we have to ask the question, why? Why is it this way? Why do we not understand how banks actually work? You take your money, and I'm going to repeat the same things over and over again until it's ingrained in your subconscious mind. Put your money into a bank. Your parents have told you, save your money, put it under a pillow. That's how they were trained. Back in the days, they had money backing their currency or gold backing their currency. We don't have that anymore. We don't have pensions anymore. They don't exist. It's just like a lost art, right? 401ks. Do you know how many people retire wealthy with a 401k? A small percentage. Roth IRAs that are tax-free retirement or tax benefit retirements. You can't, if you make over 250,000, you can't even have, wealthy people don't use IRAs. Wealthy people don't use 401ks. They use the variable markets. Okay. They use the variable markets to make, they put in the variable markets to make boom and bust cycles, and they sell when we're buying, and they buy when we're freaking out and panicking. Okay. They also put their money into dividend stocks that pay them dividends. They index their money. The banks use bank-owned BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. Okay. They index their money. We use Index Universal Life. They have real estate. They have gold. They have all these tangible things, and they use these boom and bust cycles like cryptocurrency, and they pick some winners and losers. And when it goes parabolic, they get the hell out. So when people are coming in and excited, we're selling our cryptocurrency to you. When everybody's panicking and running from these speculative assets, we're taking what we can afford to lose and we're putting it into the capital markets. Okay. And the reason why we succeed is because we're not emotional. We're not attached to crypto. Crypto is not our retirement. So you have to ask yourself a question. Do you understand how the money mechanisms work of money? And if you don't, that needs to be your focus right now. And I'm not talking about Lambos and Mercedes and all that stuff. I don't show lifestyle stuff because that's not important. What's more important is who you're becoming in the process. But you'll always be indoctrinated in the same cycle over and over and over again if you don't rewire the foundation. We have deep-rooted epigenetics from generation to generation to generation. And most of you are taking advice from your parents or grandparents who are in the old system. They're saying, go to school, get it. Let me recap that again, guys. When they went to school and paid $10,000 to $15,000 to maybe $30,000 for an education, they could get a $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 a year job. An education and a college degree got you a good paying job. Now our kids go to school for 100,000, 200, 300,000 and get out and can't even get a job or make 30,000. They're buried in debt. They can't afford their car payment. They can't afford to live now. And then you have someone like my daughter. People ask her this all the time. Where are you going to school? She's like, I'm not. My daughter works at a tanning salon and she loves it. She's 19 years old. She has more money in the capital markets than most adults that I know. She took her high school graduation money and said, Dad, I want to be an investor like you. She put her into the capital markets. She has an exit plan for 2024. She's getting her index universal life policy set up, ready to rock and roll. And she will compound from 19 years old to retirement. And she will have more money than probably most doctors and lawyers that retire that went to school for 9 years. 9 years. That's what she wants to do with her life. She wants to travel the world. She's like me. She's unemployable, man. She just, she has her tanning job. She loves going there. She loves communicating with people. So she takes her just over broke money, trading time for money, and she takes money and she invests with it. She turns her just over broke, trading time for money, and she turns that money into a brother or sister, the richest man in Babylon. So I was the first cycle of changing the foundation. Now I'm passing it to my daughter, and my son is 7. My son will never know poverty. He doesn't, and we're talking the physical poverty and, things like that. And he'll have all control of his time. He'll be wealthy by the time he's 20 years old. It takes one person, but crypto is not your retirement plan. Cryptocurrency is a great opportunity for us to get a nice hit, a nice bump. And then what you do with that money is so critical. You don't go buy a bigger house. You don't go buy a Lambo. You take that money and you index it. You borrow against it if you want to, okay? You put it into some real estate, some cash generating assets, and you take that generated cash and you recycle the money back into the capital markets. When you get another hit, you go back into indexing, borrow against yourself, buy another cash generating asset. If you want a Lamborghini, fine, okay? If you want a Lambo, fine. Make sure your net worth is there where it makes sense. Number 2 is take the money for the Lambo, put the $300,000 into an index universal life policy, put a rider on it so you can borrow against the cash value, borrow the cash value, go buy a property that will generate you about 1,500, maybe 1,000, 12. I don't know what a Lambo would be monthly, somewhere where you get about $1,200 a month. You take that $1,200 a month or the $2,000 a month cash flow and you go buy a car or a Lambo or a Mercedes or whatever it is you want and let the renter pay for it. Now you're not even paying for the liability. You took $1 that you put in the crypto market that goes up to $10, okay? You take $5 out, you pay your taxes, you index it. Then you take a loan from the indexing if you choose to. Then you go buy another cash generating asset. Now you took $1 just like the bank did, and you're earning not 1, but 2, but 3 ways now, just like the bank does. You put your fixed money in, they take your money and put it in the capital markets, they lend it, and they index it. Now you're doing it yourself. Okay. It's very important to understand this type of stuff. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. In the description down below, we do have our meet and greet coming up in July. If you'd like to meet me in person in Mesa, Arizona, I'll be doing a free speech, completely free event. I think it might be at capacity, but you have to RSVP. It's going to be a massive event. We're really excited to host it in Mesa, Arizona. So we love you guys. Appreciate you. Warriors, rise, get your shit together.